Hi, I'm Charlie Bones, and I'm shooting a few tutorials about how to work with the great Russian goddess Baba Yaga. And so in this tutorial, what I'm going to talk about is Baba's great gift to humanity about self-acceptance. Now, I work with Baba in a direct way. So when I started out working with the Baba, I did cross-reference what I could find to see if what I was getting was, in a way, authentic, I guess. It felt authentic to me, but, you know, I didn't know anyone that was working with Baba. I mean, I had a deck of goddess cards, like a friend of mine had lent me, and it had Baba Yaga in it, but, you know, it was like a very small paragraph, really, about this great god. And when I started working with Baba Yaga, there was no such thing as Google search engine to look up things either, so there wasn't a lot of cross-referencing, and I'm really, really glad that it was like that for me, because now I've developed this relationship with this God form. I believe that I wasn't swayed in any way with other people's ideas of how to work with her. So I'm really happy about that, and I'm aware that, you know, now there are some publications about with Baba Yaga, and there was actually when I started working with her, but I just didn't know about them. So other people seem to have some crossover links like I do about their workings with Baba and mine, but I don't really have any other sources that I could say work in exactly the same way as me. So I'm just going to roll with these tutorials about what this great God form's given me, and then hopefully if it works for you, that this is helpful. So the power of self-acceptance, as we know, is an incredible state of mind, state of being, state of soul, that frees us from the constricting identification of pain, really. And there's great world leaders, maybe leaders in the field about spirituality today and in the past, that have spoken about the power of self-acceptance. So I'm not talking about something new here, and I'm not claiming to. But what I'm talking about maybe in a slightly unique way is that God forms can help us bring spiritual truth and anchor them in our bodies in 3D reality. And then maybe if we've struggled or haven't grasped some of the teachings that were available to us through people on our path, then maybe the God form is a great delivery of that. And they have their own unique way of working with us as characters and individuals. So Baba Yaga is about self-acceptance, and very much self-acceptance in the physical body, in the physical carriage. Some God forms work in ways that could be perceived as more crown chakra, you know, more, I don't want to say spiritual. I don't know, we're in 3D reality, folks, you know. I think, does it get more spiritual than the body? I mean, I know that we dwell in the body, but for me it's kind of like it has to be consistent with all of life. I don't think we can deny an aspect of ourselves or our lives and believe that another aspect isn't spiritual. I don't know, it kind of gets really messy in there for me. I just think, you know, that really, if anything the gods have taught me is about that all of life is sacred. The body is sacred, the mind, you know, your contact to the divine, it's all sacred. Self-acceptance is where it's at, though. Huge aspects of ourself that we deny, shun, dislike, hate is a really strong word, keep us from flowing, from connecting, and from having the life of our dreams and being fulfilled. You can't really connect to tidal waves of joy in the universe if you really hate yourself, or you can't look in the mirror. So we seek out ways to try and have a beautiful life, to have joy, but maybe we seek it out in ways that are, you know, chemically induced, and then we have a post-chemical downer that wrecks our serotonin balance or whatever. And so we're always seeking joy, I think, in some form. It's natural for us, but like if we can't do, if we're blocked because of our own self-hatred or denial or whatever, then it's not going to be available to us in a free and wild way. And what Baba upholds is that free and wild and joyous is her way. That is her tidal wave of magic. And I'm going to talk in these tutorials about how we're going to actually, you know, court the God to us, how we're going to open ourselves to that tidal wave of joy and how we ride it, which is so, so important. Okay, so when we're exposed to Baba's power, what can happen, certainly what happened for me, is that aspects of the self that were denied or disliked, or that, you know, that I just, you know, had an issue with, you know, like the body and stuff like that, you know, it really comes up. It comes up to the surface, and Baba appears more and more grotesque the more you dislike yourself. So, you know, it is amazing. It's like dealing with like this profound psychology of psychodrama with a God. She's fantastic. It's like, wow. You know, here we are with this God form morphing into something that's even more grotesque the more I dislike something of myself. So, you know, once you get that, it's kind of cool, because the more you accept Baba, because she's in your consciousness, because you've invited her for dinner and you're working with this God, and you know, gods actually don't exist that much outside of ourselves, believe it or not. That's probably another tutorial. So the more that you're working with her, you know, the more she's developing this role for you, and it's great. So what I would say though, my comment that I just made there about God's existing not that far out of your own consciousness would be that I would say that, but then I would back it up with saying that tidal waves of joy don't necessarily exist within us. The portals are there to tap it, but I wouldn't say necessarily that all of her power is within us. No, that's what we caught. Anyway, so body hair, sweat, fat, rolls of fat, crooked teeth, pimples, this, you know, smells, gurgling stomachs, things. Baba's about loving it all, you know. You gotta love it all, or it's going to be a bumpy ride with the Baba. I mean, you can't probably access a lot of that power. And I mean, part of the power is this. It's about things coming up for you. The self-acceptance of being in front of a God form like Baba Yaga and truly, truly emanating self-acceptance in her presence is the most freeing and wild act you can do, I think. Because the peace and yet the exhilaration. You know, this is like getting out of jail for free card. This is, and it's more than that, because then you realize how the entire universe is, you know, at your fingertips. Everything becomes available to you, because now it's like you become a clean vessel. Clean, yuck, did I say that? I think I meant clear vessel. She's getting you out of prison, the prison of your own mind, the prison of your own dislike. And that's not only so you can be a full human being and that's, you know, enjoying life at its zenith and just loving everything about life, because she's so about that. It's also about your development, your joyous expansion, you know. This is where it's at. And self-acceptance is a dramatic thing. I mean, you know, we could spend years in therapy trying to come to a point where we love ourselves, you know, and like ourselves. And yet when we work with a God form that upholds that, you know, in order to be to have any peace, to have any joy in this existence, is about the deep recesses of loving the self, and this beautiful, amazing transformation that happens in her presence about self-acceptance. I don't know. I know nothing that touches this, nothing that touches, or comes close, I should say, to the healing, and the healing of Baba and the self-acceptance thing. It almost makes me speechless, because I don't know if it you know, I just don't know what gets that visceral and yet expansive. Because it's like, not only get out of jail for free, but it's here now and you are transformed. And the thing is, you know, that we need to always remember is that we don't have to get it right all the time, but the more we expose ourselves to a God form like Baba Yaga and keep getting it right more of the time, everything in your life changes. Everything's transformed. And that's what it's about. You don't have to get it right all of the time. But God, just try and get it right some of the time. And if you've got, you know, the space and time in your life to prioritize, you know, your own joy and your own fulfillment, and you're working with Baba Yaga, just get it right most of the time. So that's the teaching of Baba on self-acceptance.